So recently, Kamala Harris was chosen as Joe Biden's vice president selection. Now, Joe Biden has been saying for however long, I don't know if it was his idea, his political strategist, or I don't know who asked for it, but he just thought, I should get a black woman to be my vice president. Okay. Okay, fine. I'm not sure what he thinks that's going to do. If it's, in my opinion, I think it's more pandering, because a lot of black Americans would just get very excited, and because there's a lot of people who's talking about not fooling with the Democrats, not fooling with Joe Biden, not fooling with Trump, of course, and so they have to figure out a strategy to get folks to fall in line. So what do they use? Symbolism. They're old tricks. These are very old white supremacist tricks. Symbolism. All right, let's get a black face. There were 3 women I know initially that were, considered or whatever. And the one they ended up picking was Kamala Harris. Oh boy. Everybody was up in arms. People were excited. People were pissed. People were confused. People were just the whole nine. Because don't forget, Kamala Harris was running for president. But she had to cut her bid short because people wasn't fooling with her. Okay? So that's one thing there. Keep that in mind. People weren't fooling with her initially. Because of her record, because of her anti-black record, people weren't fooling with it. And so I made a post. I never fooled with Kamala. I made a post. Let me find it. My first post was concerning a lot of people because people were criticizing Kamala Harris, rightfully so, in my opinion. And of course, you got Negroes who were up in arms because people just didn't accept it for, well, she's black, just accept it. Y'all's hating, y'all's misogynistic, y'all hate black women, y'all's hating, we're divided, we're our own worst enemy, the whole nine. Okay, cool. So I said, I've been seeing a lot of we are our own worst enemy posts about people criticizing and calling out people like Kamala Harris, Obama, Oprah, Meg Stein, Carter B, Grandmaster Jay, any other person that we feel have gone out of their way to undermine or turn a blind eye to the issues that negatively affect black American society. Let me just say this. Those people are our own worst enemies. People that are off code with black society deserve to be called out. All skin folk ain't kinfolk. Some of y'all's self-esteem is so low that as soon as the dominant mainstream society elevates a black person, or a black-looking person, y'all just blindly accept them no matter what they do or say. People confuse unity for uniformity. 2 different words. We're not all going to agree, but if you do something that is detrimental to our community, you will be called out on it. Rightfully so. That was my first post. Because nobody's free of criticism. Nobody. What else, Spud? The good brother Spud hopped in. But yeah, nobody's free of criticism. So other communities criticize, people who undermine them and stuff like, and you don't hear man, Chinese people, we are our own worst enemy. Why are we tearing our Chinese brothers down whenever they undermine us and we call them out for it? You don't hear nobody saying that. First of all, they don't get off code, rarely, and if they do, you don't hear people complaining about we're our own worst enemy. Bullcrap. Okay, cool. Then I just had to say it. I had to stir everything up. I had to do it. John, God damn it, John. So damn outspoken. I said, Kamala Harris is not a black American woman. Because whenever Joe Biden was running, he said he was going to pick a black woman. We assumed he was going to pick somebody from here, you know what I mean? Somebody black, somebody who represents the black population, that has connections to us, that knows what we've been through, whatever. Okay, Kamala Harris is not a black American woman. She's not. Her mother is an Indian immigrant, which is cool. Got no problem with Indians. I don't, and her dad comes from that coon class in Jamaica that owned slaves. They did. They came from Jamaica. I don't have any problem with anybody from Jamaica, of course. Yeah, she might be Jamaican and part of the black race, but she's not a foundational black American or descendant of American slaves. There's a huge difference between being from, whether it be Nigeria, Ghana, Ethiopia, and being from the United States of America. There's a huge difference. She is a first-generation citizen that is out of touch with black American society. And unfortunately, a lot, not all, but too many of foreigners that come over here look down on black Americans. We know that. We've dealt with that. Come on now. Just like Obama didn't have any connection to black society, who is the child of a Kenyan father and a Caucasian mother, and was raised by his Caucasian maternal grandparents. She has zero connection to black American society and has no problem doing things that harm, undermine us, or turn a blind eye to our oppression. Just look at her record. The Democrats can fool the older generation with this bait and switch pandering tactic that makes it appear that they've picked a qualified black woman to fill the VP slot, and they'll still fall in line. But they aren't fooling most of us 40 and under. The reason why I said that is because a lot of the older generation, they automatically just go along with it. Exactly. FBA, descendant of slaves. That's right, David. Other nations has more family structure than most of us. Right. That's true. There's differences because there was no other place in the world that had slavery like there was slavery in the United States of America. And enslaved one group of people, which was us. Black Americans, descendants of American slaves. Okay. We're not falling for the same games anymore. Not being Trump isn't good enough. Not being Trump ain't good enough no more. Y'all can't scare us with that. That's what I'm telling y'all. Woo! People get mad at that. All right. Many shares later and comments later. All right. Let's get into this. So Kamala Harris, her dad's Jamaican, right? So that's her black side. Is it not? Okay, cool. Here's an article I got from GreatGameIndia.com, which is a journal on geopolitics and international relations. Google this. Google this title right here. Proof. Kamala Harris' ancestor was infamous white slave owner in Jamaica, Hamilton Brown. As the presidential buzz continued to grow around the candidacy of California Senator Kamala Harris, interest is also growing around her little-known Jamaican heritage. It is believed that the ancestor of Kamala Harris was the infamous white slave owner in Jamaica, Hamilton Brown. Although fact-checkers have already branded it as fake news, we provide here irrefutable proof that Kamala's ancestors were slave owners. Damn. Go check out these links. Link 1 says, were Kamala Harris's ancestors slave owners? ? 2. Kamala Harris's ancestor, Hamilton Brown, was an infamous slave owner. 2.1. Reflections of a Jamaican father. 3. Hamilton Brown owned more than 100 slaves. 4. Hamilton Brown officially swore to owning slaves. So her ancestor, he admitted to it. I mean, it's not rocket science. 5. Legacy of British slave ownership. Infamous white. The tweet says Kamala Harris is directly descended from one of the largest slave owners in Jamaica, Hamilton Brown. There is even a town named after him, Browntown. So doesn't it follow she's a beneficiary, not a victim of slavery? Wow. Damn. Okay. That's her black side, though, right? Her Jamaican side. Okay. Have y'all ever heard Kamala Harris identify as black? I mean, up to this point, everything's been Indian. Okay? Everything. Don't believe me? Hold on.
I don't want to suffer the consequences of our future president not liking my Indian food. Can I just tell you something? Yeah, I've never made those.
Let's check this out.
Is it respectful to call? Like, I should be calling you Senator Harris, right?
No, you should not. That's not on my birth certificate.
Okay.
Call me
Kamala?
Yes, please.
Okay, because the Indian in me, I feel like my parents,
Just
my
don't
dad
call
will
me-
watch this.
Just don't call me auntie.
Okay. I won't call you auntie. They'll be like, how could you call her by her first name? She's worked so hard. Okay, so what we're going to cook today
Okay.
is an
Oh,
Indian
yeah.
recipe.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
you are Indian.
Yes.
Okay, and I don't know that everybody knows that, but I find that wherever I go and I see Indian people at the supermarket, on the street, everyone's like, you know, Kamala Harris is Indian, right? It's like our thing we're so excited about to have you running for president.
Yeah.
So we're both Indian,
Yes.
but actually we're both South Indian.
Yes.
Um,
You look like the entire one half of my family.
Okay, thank you.
You do.
I've been telling people
You
we're
do.
related already,
Yeah.
so this is perfect. It's basically true. And so, were you raised eating South Indian food?
South Indian food. Lots of rice and yogurt, potato curry, dal. Lots
Oh, all right. Enough of that. All right. Again, no problem with Indians. I'm cool with some Indians, but again, it's Indian. All right. Proud of your heritage. Okay, cool. Somebody find me a video like that of her, you know, with some black woman. Proud of her black Jamaican heritage. Please help me find it. Because I haven't seen any. Until after she was, you know, said that she was going to run for president. So where does she say she's not black? It's not that she don't say she's not black. She's just going on and on and on about being Indian. She never says anything about being black. But now all of a sudden she's being trotted out as this is the black woman we chose. You know what I mean? If you're so proud to be black, why? We never heard you. You're never in any of our spaces. We never heard you talk anything about being black ever. I could be wrong. I could be right. I don't know everything. I could be wrong. All right. Cool. So she's Jamaican and Indian. Cool. All right. Oh, there was a comment I seen on this post. Let me see. This summed it up perfectly. And shout out to this, I think it was a sister who said it. She said, this is on, damn, where is it at? This is on Michelle Obama's post. You get used to it. Even as a little girl opening the newspaper, turning on the TV, and hardly ever seeing anyone who looks like you, blah, blah, blah. And it's like a picture of Kamala Harris with some little black-looking girl. Somebody commented and said, she never claimed to be black. That's a brother. His name's James Williams. He commented on this post. He said, she never claimed to be black until she tried to run for president. This is a ploy to get the black woman's vote. Do some research on her and all the harm she has done specifically to the black community. Damn. Specifically to the black community. Okay. Just like Obama. Or when she went to an HBCU and joined a historically black sorority. Hold on, bro. Just hold on that. Just hold on that. I got you, Luke. I get it. She's not proud to be black. Yes, she's representing us. I'm trying to learn. You should keep doing videos for people like me who hate to read. Mariah, dog. Listen, dog. You got to read, man. The famous quote. I don't know who said it. Malcolm X, somebody. If you want to hide anything from a Negro, put it in a book. That's where all the information is. You got to read. You got to read articles. You got to read books. I mean, YouTube videos will only get you so far. Documentaries will only get you so far. You got to read. And documentaries are based off books. And YouTube videos, they're based off books and research. And so she's being fake. Yeah, she's being fake. Fake as hell. Just like Obama. Obama had zero connection to black society. But we just seen a black face and said, all right, let's vote him in. His father's Kenyan. That's not the same as being a black American. His mother is a white woman from, where's she from? I forget. Kansas, Hawaii, I don't know, somewhere. And he was raised by 2 Caucasian maternal grandparents. Zero connection to black American society. And and I don't say this to, divide and conquer, but there's a big difference in the experience that we've had to endure here in America as Black Americans, and people in other countries that haven't had to deal with the same thing that we've had to deal with. Yeah, there was slavery in other countries, and of course in Jamaica there was slavery. Like I said, her ancestors were slave owners, but it's neither here nor there. And we know that there's colonialism in other countries as well, but those are, like, for example, in West Africa, the black population is the majority. You know what I mean? They call it basically was slavery over there too. It wasn't as harsh. And some of the conditioning wasn't the same. They still got to keep their culture. Susan, are not qualified to take on the Republican. Oh, okay, I'm not sure about that. But, yeah, they still got to keep their culture intact. They still, for the most part, got to keep their language, their food culture. We literally created our own culture here in America. Genetically, we're African, yes. But culturally, we're not. That's something I didn't understand until I read this book right here. A Black History Reader, 101 Questions You Never Thought to Ask by Dr. Claude Anderson. I keep telling y'all about Dr. Claude Anderson. I keep telling y'all. Y'all gotta read these books. All right. So it basically just goes through 101 questions you never thought to ask. So question number 9 is, what is the difference between a Black American and an African American? Okay. The term Black American and African American, I'm not going to read this whole thing. The term Black American and African American are not equivalent or interchangeable, although they are generally but erroneously considered as such by whites and some native blacks. When he says native blacks, he means descendants of slaves. Black Americans are born in America and are descendants of slaves. African American is a term most accurately applied to a person born in Africa that has relocated or migrated to America. In reality, each term is derived from totally different cultural, language, political, religious, and racial experiences. Okay? Alright, there was something else I wanted to read. It was... Yeah, y'all gotta review this, dude. This is what I wanted to read. Because think about it. African American, that's like, Italian American, Indian American. It means you came from one country, migrated to here. No, David, we do have a culture. We have our own culture. I don't like when people say that. Because even people like Africans who look down on us, which, not all, some of them, because, we got some riders out here. Some of them will say, well, y'all don't have a culture. But y'all's over here copying everything we do in hip-hop videos. Y'all's copying everything we do with sports. But we don't have a culture. Okay. But this says, using unspecific terms like African American obscures the unique history of blacks in America and can have harmful effects similar to what happened when the terms minority, people of color, or poor people are used instead of black. A lawsuit filed by a Pakistani who applied for the African American Banneker Scholarship at the University of Maryland in the 1990s demonstrates the folly of imprecise language. The university denied him a scholarship because recipients had to be African American. The Pakistani student filed a lawsuit charging the university with discrimination. The student's case was based on a very simple but reasonable explanation. The Pakistani student said he had lived in Africa before migrating to the United States and considered himself African. Now that he lives in America, he is an African American. Guess what? The Maryland Supreme Court agreed and ruled in the student's favor, awarding him $150,000. Y'all ain't hearing it. So whenever people's talking about divide and conquer and all this other stupid stuff. Y'all do not understand y'all's history. You have to read this stuff. Again, I'm going to show y'all the book. A Black History Reader, 101 Questions You Never Thought to Ask by Dr. Claude Anderson. It's a great book. I gave a speech about some of the stuff in here on at the Black History Month luncheon that was in Hermitage. Yes, wow, Colette. I'm telling you. All right. Cool. So she's not a foundational Black American descendant of American slaves. No, she's not. Okay. But let's assume she was. Let's assume that both of her parents were foundational Black Americans, been in this country for 500 plus years, built up the nation's wealth and infrastructure, and haven't fairly been compensated for that yet, i.e. reparations. Let's assume that. That still does not change her record. That don't change her record, y'all. Her record is horrible when it comes to us, Black Americans. Another book, From Babylon to Timbuktu. All right, Spud. Y'all go get that book as well. Look that up. That still don't change her record. Check this out. Google this. This was on Afropunk by... This is 2 years ago. This is before she even ran for, vice president or whatever. I think she... Was she running? I think she might have been running for president at the time. It's titled... Just Google this title. Kamala Harris has been tough on Black people, not crime. I ain't going to read this whole thing, but basically starts a couple months ago. I was chilling at my partner's house watching football during commercial break. We started talking about Kamala Harris. My partner's older cousin shouted, Kamala Harris, she been locking niggas up at Renee, referring to the old Oakland courthouse, since way back in the day, and was doing it with a smile on her face. He wasn't wrong. As someone from the Bay Area and living in Oakland, I am constantly reminded of her history of locking up Black people in the Bay Area. Her track record consists of terrorizing Black communities through the prison industrial complex, and she has consistently shown herself to be an enemy to the masses of Black people. While I admit the symbol of having a Black woman as president sounds nice, it doesn't exclude Kamala Harris from being critiqued. I operate under the political belief that there are no good presidents. Presidents are just figureheads for the white supremacist settler colonial state. I aim to have a principled critique of her record that advances Black political thought, yet Twitter has been full of misogynistic critiques of Kamala. Is important that we critique her while avoiding misogyny or blah, blah, blah. Whether it was declining to advocate for legalization of marijuana in California, in which Black people are arrested at higher rates, or her failure to support body cam for police while simultaneously opposing legislation that will require her office to independently investigate police shootings. So not only did she oppose the body cams, she didn't want to be responsible for reviewing the footage of police shootings. Kamala is not for the people. She even defended the 3 strikes law, in which Black people are incarcerated at a rate 12 times higher than whites. All right. Kamala Harris supported the death penalty, which is a modern-day form of lynching that has executed hundreds of innocent people and also disproportionately affects Black people, proves that she doesn't value Black lives. Kamala even advocated that an innocent Black man named Kevin Cooper, look up this case, who was a death row inmate and had a trial that was rooted in overt racism and corruption, be executed. She advocated for this even though Kevin had DNA evidence that proved his innocence, yet Kamala Harris opposed it until the New York Times exposed the case. So as long as it was swept under the rug, she was all about this dude getting executed. Black dude. Not only has she failed to support policies that might improve the lives of Black people, she defended the need for prison slavery. What's dangerous about Kamala is that she weaponized civil rights language. However, her actions prove otherwise. Okay? I don't want to read this whole article. She pushed back against a federal order to expand an early parole program, arguing that it would deplete their stock of prison labor, especially inmates who fight wildfires. Because y'all know that they was using prison inmates to fight them wildfires out there in California. Paying them $1 an hour. These inmates make $1 an hour, which is a form of slavery. Kamala Harris is not only a super cop, but an adamant defender of the institution. Blah, blah, blah. This is the last paragraph I'm going to read. This is big right here. Because we got to learn from the Obama era. Kamala Harris invokes the language of being a civil rights leader for black people. In her video announcement for president, she weaponized words like truth, justice, and equality, and her campaign slogan is "For the people." This is propaganda, and this campaign strategy isn't something new. Rather, it follows what I refer to as the Obama plan. The Obama plan is a campaign strategy that will center a civil rights type narrative such as hope, and will also use all the elements of blackness we like in order to get a black person elected. You know, the pandering, the singing Al Green, the dancing to Cardi B, the whatever. This campaign uses the popular aesthetics of blackness despite the actions of Harris fundamentally being anti-black. Go read that article. Like I said, it's on Afropunk. It's called Kamala Harris Has Been Tough on Black People, Not Crime. Written 2 years ago by a brother named Blake S. Go check it out. Not only that. Alright. Okay, that was the past, John. That was, years ago. Okay, whatever. Let's get the recent stuff then. Would y'all agree that not hope, Alright, it's cool. Yeah, I mean, Mariah, listen, I just be trying to teach. Her record on police brutality and police reform is trash. Exactly. Like, you couldn't have formed a worse duo in American history in recent history, in the past 20 years, I'll say, of two people that have locked up more black people than Joe the Bigot Biden, a.k.a. Jim Crow Joe, and Kamala Top Cop Harris. You couldn't have picked a worse duo. You couldn't have. Possibly Bill Clinton and Kamala, or Bill Clinton and Biden, or something like that, but listen, dude. This is ridiculous. Yeah, Afropunk, that's what it's on. I think that's the website. Yeah, Afropunk, that's what it says. Alright, cool. But y'all agree that reparations is a big issue, right? That's our main goal, right? Because we still haven't been paid for the labor that our ancestors have done. Meanwhile, people who benefited from that and their descendants they still benefit to this day. But we haven't been paid. Our ancestors haven't been paid. We haven't been compensated for what our ancestors did and the trauma they had to go through and working for free. Y'all know how much y'all hate y'all's jobs. Think about if y'all had to work for free. And y'all not even doing hard labor. Just think about that. I had a job. I was ready to hurt somebody. Let's say that. And I was getting paid. Making decent money. So we agree that reparations is a big thing. All right, cool. Let's check this out.
Support reparations for black people. Well, listen. Again, we had over 200
Do I need to start over?
Do you support reparations for black people? Well, listen. Again, we had over 200 years of slavery.
Okay.
We had Jim Crow for almost a century.
Yeah, we know all that.
We had legalized discrimination and segregation, and now we have segregation and discrimination that is not legal but still exists and is a barrier to progress. We have disparities around housing. We have disparities around education. We have disparities around income.
You ain't answering the question, Kamala.
We have to recognize that everybody did not start out on an equal footing in this country. And in particular, black people have not. And so we have got to recognize that and do something about that and give folks a lift up. That's why, for example, I'm proposing the Lift Act. Give people who are making $100,000 or less as a family a tax credit, which will benefit and uplift 60% of black families who are in poverty.
That ain't about to work.
So by default, it affects black families, but there's not a particular policy for African Americans that you would explore.
But no, if you...
This lift all stuff. And that's something that I told somebody in the comments. Oh, we're going to do something. Well, we might not do reparations, but we'll do something that will disproportionately affect black Americans. You know, maybe 60% of them. No. No. If black people have negative $20, Latinos have positive 20, $30, let's say 30. White Americans got 500, and Asians got 600. And you give everybody $20. You give everybody $20. Okay, so black folks went from negative 20 to 0. Oh, okay, so we're at 0. Okay. We got some money. Okay, but everybody else went up. No, that doesn't work. It doesn't work. It doesn't.
If you look at the reality of who will benefit from certain policies, when you take into account that they're not starting at the same place and they're not starting on equal footing, it will directly benefit black children, black families, black homeowners, because the disparities are so significant.
Lord.
So if we focus on the specific issues that have resulted in the greatest disparities, and we understand that that's part of why we're doing it. Listen, the reality also is this: any policy that will benefit black people will benefit all of society.
I wish she would stop asking me questions.
Let's really be clear about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people.
What?
So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people.
Whoa.
So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people.
I wish I had the end part where she was in such disgust. I'm not going to do something that's only going to benefit black people. No! In such disgust. You said all that stuff at the beginning to say we shouldn't get anything. Okay, cool. Where's dude at? Luke Douglas, my man. Hop in here. How do I invite you on? Let me see.